Hi everybody. This is Gnashing of Teeth. We are on episode 18, G. 18. How are you?
I'm good. And I'm Milo, for those that don't know. But I'm good.
Yeah,
Ready to enjoy the weekend.
good for you. What are you doing this weekend? Anything?
No, no, and that's the beauty.
I am not doing anything either. I'm going to literally chill with you for this episode, and then I'm gonna like watch movies, maybe play some games on the PlayStation. Did you play your PlayStation?
No, it's it's plugged in, but
I
I've
get
only
it.
turned it on like twice.
I get it. I totally get it. Um, well, what's shaking, bacon? What do you want to talk about? What'd you do tonight?
So tonight, I had a really nice dinner with the family,
All right.
and then we went out to watch a movie
All
that
right.
we talked about a few episodes back. We talked about the trailer of it, The Pope's Exorcist.
Oh, dude, it looks really good. Um, Russell Crowe.
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
is it based on a true story?
It's quote unquote based on the Vatican files.
Hmm.
Like so, yeah,
Hmm. Well,
yeah.
did you like it? Was it like, don't
It
tell me,
was there was
is it the typical scary movie or did they like up the game a little?
there was parts where it was cringe, right? But every horror movie will have that. But it was good. They didn't do a lot of like jump scary type things.
Yeah, yeah.
It was just straight kind of possession, demonic. Had a nice story to it. The You'll like this. The demon was, and we're about to get into a spoiler alert. Do you want to know? You
Uh,
probably want to know.
it's a boy. Is it a small boy that gets possessed?
It is, but like the demon's name,
Oh,
right?
oh yeah, 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 yeah. Who's the demon that possesses? Is it Legion? Is it many?
No, no, it's actually Asmodeus.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That is a game changer. I don't think my boy has time to be messing around with like, come on. What's okay, so what's the I saw previews for it, and there's some crazy skeleton on a chair with some hat. Who was that? What was that?
That was like the previous. And again, this is kind of like spoilers a little bit, but that was like the previous exorcist that tried to battle um the
Asmo?
demon Asmo. Yeah,
Hmm. Yeah,
because
that's what happened. That's what
apparently
happened.
it's when they talk about how like 200 angels fell and Asmodeus fell to that specific spot, and the Vatican has been trying to like fight him there, and they've like lost every single time until obviously this time, of course. But
So Russell Crowe beats Asmodeus. Absolutely. Uh, that's ironic. So how did King Solomon like pull him out of there to help him build the temple?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
just
know.
yeah. Was it good though? I mean, was it entertaining? You and I have a different theory on exorcism. We talked about it in a different episode of, is it real? Is it fake? And we kind of thought that, why would a demon waste especially someone with the clout of Asmodeus, why would they waste their time
Mm-hmm.
being in a human and just like, was it like really
Yep.
blasphemous? Is it the same thing that the Russell Crowe comes in, he throws the holy water, and then the demon's like, "Get out of here, priest!"
a lot more than that, but it does have the typical, yeah,
Yeah, it's the
yeah,
battle. It's always the battle of like good and evil, right?
yeah.
Well, let's go back to the question. Was it good?
I liked it,
Good.
and I like the story.
Yeah.
I There wasn't
Excuse
like
me.
it was focused on the story and the lore of it. It wasn't necessarily cheap jump scares.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
liked it.
So they portrayed Asmodeus as a as the bad guy.
Mhm.
Wow. That's well,
It gives him clout. It gives him clout. Have People know his name now.
if anybody would be possessed by Asmodeus, it'd be me. And here I am, not possessed. Blue Gatorade, there it is.
It's actually
You
a different Gatorade.
you didn't do
It's
Glacier or whatever?
No, it's cool blue. It's the
What's
one.
were they
It's
were they out of the other one or
no, no, no. I switched it up today. Switched it up.
well, good for you. You're just changing your game a little.
Mhm.
Uh let's it's a cool looking movie, I'll tell you that. We talked about
Mhm.
how great the previews looked. Um Again, it's just another classic tale of a fallen angel getting demonized in the end game, you know. But as long as people understand that it's a movie and it's for entertainment, that's what it's about, you know. As long as
Mhm.
you had fun and had a good time and it took you away from reality for a little bit, that hopefully it's a good escape and a great story. It's cool. Um, you and I, let's talk about this. So we were talking about in some of the episodes prior that we would bring up a fallen angel or a demon, and then you would kind of say, well, it's just another Canaanite, deity. It's another Canaanite um, god, and
Mhm.
so it'd be a really interesting. We're probably not completely prepared for this, but like I would think that getting into the Canaanite, um, what it is, who they were, how everything kind of meshed there, and how these deities always originate back to like Canaanite religion slash like society. So Canaanite is people that were from the land or the area of Canaan. So it's Canaaan. And I believe it's like east of the Mediterranean Sea kind of area there. And
Mhm.
um, yeah, there's kind of a thing about the Israelites if the Canaanites turned into Israelites or the Israelites went and like took over Canaan, but I don't know a whole ton of it. So I would like to turn it over to you and let's just kind of feel our way through this one.
Okay. So I think it's important to digest this into two different sections. The
All right.
first part being kind of the history, the region, and kind of the people, or you could say culture a little bit, but I won't go too into that because the topic is Canaanite kind of religion.
Right.
And obviously the second part would be religion. But to give some backstory, the Canaanite religion, I guess you could say, was found around the time of 3000 to 1000 BCE, before Christ era. And it was in the region that you were talking about, kind of where modern day Israel and Syria are, right
All right.
around there.
Yep.
And I'd like to also note that that area was quite poppin' because they obviously had the land bridge down there to Egypt, and then
Ah.
they also had kind of a path to Mesopotamia in that region.
All right.
So it was
It was
rich
a
with
it
culture.
was a highway right in there. Yeah.
Yeah,
But you got to go through to
and
get to some places, right?
exactly.
Yeah.
Um, and we get a lot of myths, legends. on the actual religion that the Canaanites believed in the culture, mainly from cuneiform writing, so all the weird symbols and stuff on like tablets and all that
Love it.
jazz.
Love it.
Uh, they were found mainly in Syria, I think to be exact, northern Syria, but I could be wrong, obviously. City of Ugarit, Ugarit, I think.
Okay, you heard
Um,
it.
so, and it's in Canaanite is a broad term for the people that lived in the Palestine and Syria area at the time. Now, before I get into like talking about kind of the gods and religion, you want to say anything about culture, region, anything?
I I just know that I think it comes from like the next thing that they evolved to or got taken over was like Akkadian was before them. And I think prior is like Babylonian. So you can see where Sumerian, Babylonian, Akkadian, you know, Canaanite, Israelite, you can just see who's passed through the area. Or like
Mhm.
whether it's they changed, whether they evolved, whether they got taken over, whether, I don't know that detail. There's a lot of it in the Bible, to be honest, about Canaanite and that kind of thing. Uh, I was on YouTube and there's a little bit, but not a lot. And then I was kind of looking at some different things. I opened up a bunch of the occult texts and found a little bit of stuff, but it
Mhm.
really always remotes back to just the pantheon of gods that came from that. So as far as culture
Mhm.
and all that, I don't know, excuse me, I don't know too much, in my own wisdom, except for that. It was definitely there. It was definitely big.
Mhm.
I think it persuaded a ton of what we now believe today. And
Mhm.
I think that's where we need to focus is, okay, what exactly were they thinking? What exactly changed? Like, so let me ask you this. We know that the Canaanite deities are a big deal because they're still around today. So, what is so important about what they did? So, uh, I don't know a lot of Akkadian myth, but Canaanite comes up a lot. So, whatever they evolved to and whatever they came up with, whatever they did, it kind of started shaping somewhat the same way Moses in Egypt did. It started shaping
Mhm.
what religion looks like today and who these gods are today.
Mhm.
So it'd be interesting. Like, do you know what was before? Like, what did we believe before the Canaanites, and then what did the Canaanites do to change what the belief was then? Does that make sense? Is that just weird?
Oh, no, no, I think you're right and you're pinpointing it. I think it was mainly
Sure.
uh, the time era that was in, right? So obviously the summer in the Sumerian religion, and that obviously led to Babylonian slash Mesopotamian, or I
Mhm.
guess you could also classify Mesopotamian and Sumerian, Akkadian, as you said, and
Mhm.
then Canaanite. And I think the reason why Canaanite is prominent and a lot of the gods at the time were demonized even to this day is because the Israelites came in and Yahweh kind of took over and Christianity spread and all these other religions they had to put down in a sense. And that's why in modern
Mm.
grimoires that we still use to this day that classified Baal as a demon came from Canaanite because he was the god at the time. If the
Mm.
Israelites came in with in another religion time, and it was like, Enlil and Inky and Anana and all those guys, it would just be the demonization of them, but they weren't necessarily prominent in that time era.
Right. Right. So let me ask you this. most of the Goetia demons were Canaanite deities. So
Mhm.
if the Israelites came in and changed that, fair enough. But how did how did they all fall into the Canaanite belief system, right? Because Samaria believes in something different than like Babylonian. Babylonian believes in different than Akkadian, and the Canaanites come out and they like have all these like deities. Or do you think it just evolved that way, where they were just like, hey, we're just gonna accept them all, bring all these gods. Greece did it, and here they're kind of doing it. Egypt did it. So, like, do you think it's
Yeah, the
just it fell that way?
the the poly belief of multiple gods.
Yeah.
I think it did in the time era and like how civilizations grew at the time and people, came from Mesopotamia area, traveled up towards Syria, and then
Hmm.
came down Palestine area. A lot of gods blended and mixed,
Right.
and I think it just kind of evolved that way. There's multiple gods. The Israelites were the ones that I don't want to get quoted on this, but when, yeah, I guess I should call it Yahweh's cult came in, it was a singular God, and
Hmm.
everybody else was all about, poly, multiple
Yeah.
gods.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. Wow, it's it all the like the Norse religion and a lot of those things had multiple pray for this person for this, pray for this to this person for that, meditate on this person. And so yeah, so much history has been like destroyed that we really don't know, you know. But I can definitely see how the Canaanite religion would be um I guess like flourishing, and then here comes, a group that can take them over and says, no, no, that's not what we're doing. It's no different than, um, you know, black metal, which comes from like Norway and a lot of Norse and a lot of different things up that in that region where they had their temples and they believed in what they believed in, and here comes the Crusades and the church, and they're getting Americanized, right? Like their churches are going down and the Christian churches are coming up, and they forced it. This wasn't, I mean, they forced that on those people. And so, now there's McDonald's, and, they don't like, that offended a lot of people. So that still goes on, that still is happening. Like, there's a lot of war that's just based on religion, so you could totally see that. So this is where it starts. Yahweh cult comes in and says, we believe in Yahweh. We're going to force you to dismantle, and then eventually uh the one God thing just kind of sticks around, and then is now popular belief today that there's like one God or a Trinity. You know, it's weird that when if you get demonized, um, that you're kind of out of the books. Did you ever see the movie 300? This is Sparta.
no,
300,
yeah, yeah.
300. There's a scene where Xerxes, who is like the God King, goes and talks to Leonidas, who is the leader of the Spartans, and he says, if you bend the knee, you can be part of this. Like you'll be the warrior king of Greece, or I can make you, whatever you want to be. And he says, yeah, the few stand against the many. I'll fight a tyrant, and my leg hurts, so I won't be bending the knee. Xerxes' reply is, I can erase you from history. Like I will make rules that if someone mentions your name, it's death. It's punishable by death. I will erase. Everyone will die, I will erase all your books. I'll destroy everything. No one will know who you are. No one will ever, your whole society will never live. It'll never be born. It won't be known. No one's going to know you. No one's ever going to know you. That's how powerful I am. And I can just imagine how much that happened, where it's a power struggle. My religion's better than yours, and we'll erase you. And
Mhm.
some of the war in Iraq, where Sumerian tablets are just statues are just getting blown up. It's like, man, what are we? We're like erasing. Who burned the Library of Alexandria? It was a battle, and then all that burned. And so it's like some of that stuff's getting erased. So the Canaanite religion that survives is kind of cool that it did,
Mhm. Mhm.
because so easily could have just been wiped out. You know, so it's powerful in its own way. You know,
Mhm.
otherwise it doesn't make it. Nobody talks about inking Enlil. It's gone, even though they
Mhm.
may not be, but it really no one talks about it. But there's still talk about the Canaanite deities. It's in the occult books. It's in the Goetia. It's cool. It thrives in its own little underground circles. Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
So
Sure.
yeah, I don't know where um, it survived, which is really cool, because most things don't. Right? You don't hear about Dionysus. You don't hear about Mithra. You don't hear about some of these Jesus-like figures who walked Horus. They're kind of gone. Yeah, you get the Egyptian Book of the Dead, and they're in there, some of them.
Yeah.
But literally, So let me ask you this: so if it's obviously religion that's right, wrong, or indifferent. I'm not putting down anyone's religion, but it's those movements that then are suppressing and saying this is bad. This isn't good. Let's get rid of this. Let's mute this. And it's not a point of being that they're bad. It was just not what was the status quo at the time.
Mhm.
Right? We're moving on to this now, everybody, and everyone's going to be forced to do it, or else like this. And so that's why I think there's these underground cults, and this is why the occult is forbidden, because I will make it punishable by death if someone mentions your name, just like in 300, right? So now the
Good.
occult work is like forbidden, and you're not supposed to, like, we're taught that, right?
Mhm.
And we've been taught that for a long time.
So to get a bit back on topic,
Sorry.
Canaanite religion. I
Yeah.
just wanted to go through the just a little bit about the major gods at the time, and I did want to touch on a god that we completely forgot about in the last episode that's going to air tomorrow. Um, so you remember when you mentioned Moat,
Yes.
M-O-T?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I had like a brain freeze. He's the dude that in the myth fights Baal on the seasons changing. Not the seasons. No, 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 no. It's the whether the harvest is gonna like reap or it's gonna like, be infertile, right?
I think I remember hearing about this.
It's something like that. So so Mot is an ancient god of dead and things barren, and he's notably a rival to Baal in mythology. Baal, obviously being called Lord of the Earth, resides on Mount Zaphon. Um, he's quick to answer, apparently. That's why he was like super popular at the time. And he's a ruler of fertility and apparently thunder. El is another big one. He's kind of like a little bit like Yahweh, but he doesn't necessarily have a creator story, even though people at the time kind of considered him as a creator and
Hmm.
a
Interesting.
figure of authority.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, I see it.
Astarte evolves from Ishtar, which is Babylonian, Babylonian, I believe.
I wrote all these names down, by the way.
You did. We covered them, and she's just a war and love goddess.
Mhm.
And there's about a million others.
I know you like to say that. Yes, you do. Yep.
So, so I do want to talk about the bleeding, not bleeding. That's a bad word. A blending of gods. So
Okay.
in the early second millennia, so
Okay.
2000 BCE,
Yeah.
uh,
Okay. Yeah.
Ishtar appeared as a warrior fertility goddess.
200 or 2000 before Christ?
Two, 2000,
2000.
second
Okay. Wow. Yeah.
millennia.
Second month. Sorry. Yep.
Which what she was found in northern Syria.
Hmm.
And she came from Summer, which is down this way
Hmm.
on the map of wherever the hell we're at.
Sumer?
Comes
Sumer?
su-
S
Summer, Sumer, Sumerian Summer.
Yeah. It's not Sumer.
I don't think it is.
Okay.
I think it's Summer. Came from Inanna, right? So Inanna
Yep.
into Ishtar into
Yep.
Astarte,
Yep.
right? So
Yep.
that's just an example of the blending of God. Um, a little bit, because I did want to touch on offerings that they did back in the
Mm,
day, and I know we talked a lot about human sacrifice, and I do want to I do want to
we
touch on that for a second.
we did.
So their sacrifices were mainly animal sacrifices. So you think of like sheep, pigs, and cattle, something like that. Um, we do have quote unquote evidence of human and child sacrifice in history, but historically, it seems like they've done that in very extreme circumstances. So
Ah,
I mean, if you got people like starving to death and stuff, they're like, okay, maybe we got to start sacrificing something better than
we got to up our game.
yeah, for real. Child sacrifice was is very was found in Carthage,
AGE.
Carthage, Phoenician area. It's where the hell is Carthage? I'm not even going to try to be a map person for a second, but you can look up Carthage and I'll give you an exact location of that.
Sure.
Although it's very loosely. Now, a lot of people think that that's kind of bad, and I just want to touch on it is bad actually. I'm not saying that it's not bad.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not saying that it's not bad, but I don't think people realize like the level of where it's at. So if you think of like Mesoamerica, and this is getting off topic, but just for 2 seconds, the Aztecs sacrificed 200,000 people a year.
Right.
So that's like a person every 10 minutes.
Yep.
And like they would drag them to the top of the temple and rip their heart out as they're like
Yeah.
bleeding to
Yeah.
death and the
Yeah.
heart's still gushing.
Yeah.
You get
Yeah.
the
They're,
idea.
they're tumbling down the steps.
They're tumbling.
Everyone's cheering. Everyone's cheering.
I mean, numbers that are putting the Canaanites to shame, to be
Right.
honest with you. So
Right.
I don't think the level of human sacrifice was great. They offered very sacrifices to animals and things like that. And they did a lot of temple worship. That was a big
Mhm.
thing in the time. And yeah, I
Well,
could get into
well done. Yeah. Well said.
I could get into a couple other things, but I'll just touch it briefly since we're running out of time. I saw the timer. Maybe if you didn't join 20 minutes late, we'd have a little bit more time. Uh,
Hey,
I,
I was ready to go hours ago. You went to see the movie. You had to go eat McDonald's. You had to go get a different blue Gatorade. I was waiting on you.
so hi,
Anyway, go ahead. Go.
Hier- Hyros Gamos. So
I never,
Hieros Gamos.
I never heard of this cat.
It's not a person. It's a
Oh,
kind of a it basically means the unity of a god or goddess, or in the context that I'm about to put it in, a priestess and the king at the time.
okay.
And it was a ritual that they performed in temples, like the sexual rite, to increase fertility, which seemed very popular in summer. So Ananas priestesses would practice that with like the king of the time, and it seemed to transfer into Canaanite times, which is a bit interesting. What I do also, just the last thing that I found interesting in my research was the very idea of giving gods and goddesses very human features to understand their role in society. So to just give the most basic thing ever, think of Astarte. If you look at relics that we've uncovered of her, and like a statue, for instance, of her, it shows her with very almost exaggerated breasts, and she's holding her breasts to represent fertility.
Mm.
And it seems a bit shameful, but they used that at the time to represent her like role and function, I guess you could say.
Oh, I get it. Yeah.
So yeah, good time. Canaanites.
Canaanites, they uh they brought them all together and then they got dismantled pretty much. But somehow there's underground circles that kept that thing going, which is like super cool. I'm not gonna go crazy about it, but I am really impressed with how that history was preserved. 2000 BC, and we're still like reading about these guys. That's pretty cool.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? There's
Yeah.
stuff after that that's just been wiped out. So,
One thing I will say before we wrap this up, um, I don't necessarily want to get convoluted. I think that's the right word, but I like to use big words and not know what they mean. Um,
me too.
Ball. Okay.
Love
Right.
him.
We have a Goetic, yeah, entity ball, right?
We do.
But with the practice of Solomonic magic, you can bind this dude to a thing by the authority of Yahweh. And Yahweh in technicality is lesser than Baal. So if you can do that to a Canaanite god, I don't know if it's technically him or maybe just an aspect of him or what it is. Like, so you get kind of what I'm saying. Like, how can
It's
you bind a Canaanite god
if it's
under Yahweh's authority when he's a lesser entity?
he's considered lesser entity at that time. Well, maybe he is not lesser now. I don't know.
Well, I mean, he's got millions worshiping him. Ball doesn't right now, so I mean, it could be. But
Yeah. Yeah. Ball's getting killed here with the votes.
that's a good. Yep.
I mean, that's a good analogy, right? Like if we're going for president, Ball's not doesn't have a lot of fans because there's just a lack of knowledge at this point.
Yeah.
You know, as thankful as I am, it's stuck around. It still is like still kind of shadowy.
Mhm.
Well, G, we are really down. That was great. I didn't know, like I learned a lot from you today. That was awesome. The Canaanite thing, it's cool. It needed to be talked about because it's kind of the origin of, not the origin, but like it's a big blast for the occultist and the people we work with. It was good for that.
Mhm.
Um, I guess great show. Um, I don't have anything to summarize on. I'll let you end it and we'll go from there.
Yeah, a very prominent society in time,
Mhm. Yep.
and inspired a lot of grimoires. And I think the gods of the Canaanite times are very, whether we know it or not, are very prominent to this day.
Man,
So
that area is just always smoking hot with something, isn't it?
yeah, yeah.
There's just smoking hot over there. Sumerian tablets and the Canaanite gods and just everything that goes on over there. I don't know. I'm over here eating In-N-Out burger, stuck in traffic. And over there is where everything's going down. You
Yeah,
know?
for real.
Yeah, we should move over there and do some study. Anyway, hey man, awesome show. It was awesome talking to you. Pope's Exorcist. I can't wait. I want to see it now. You said it was good. I'm pumped. I want to see it. I'm gonna be upset when they dog my boy Asmo, but it is what it is.
Yeah,
That's how.
he does take quite a bit of wins in there though.
Yeah, good.
He does put up a fight. So
All right, good, good.
yeah,
You see him in the background, don't you? There he is. He shines. He
I do.
shines bright through my home.
Can we get a quick thumbnail real quick? Can you just hold up something?
What do you want me to hold? What do you want me to? I know what
I
I can
just
hold. I know what I hold up. Hang on, I'll show you. Hang on.
I don't know what he's gonna hold up, but what I'm gonna do is do something like this. There we go.
Here's your thumbnail right here.
Okay.
I bought a new guitar today. Here's the thumbnail. Boom.
That has nothing to do with Canaanite religion.
I was so pumped about this. Okay, I'll do another one. Hang on.
No, it's fine. We're out of time.
We're out of time. All right. Hey, good talking to you.
It's good talking to you.
All right. Laters.